Most budgets fails not because the numbers are wrong, but because the system is built on an assumption about human behavior that has never been true for most people and never will be. The assumption is that you know what you should spend in a category and you'll spend that amount, and that awareness creates compliance. It doesn't knowing your grocery budget is 400. It doesn't stop you from spending $520 when the month is demanding and the store is right there. Knowing your entertainment budget is $100 doesn't stop you from saying yes to the three things that seem reasonable individually, and it adds up to $280. And that information was never the problem. The architecture of the system was. And here's what actually causes budgets to fail. Not the willpower explanation you're probably already blame yourself with, and the specific structural changes that fix it too, and the willpower myth in budgeting. The personal finance industry has a persistent habit of framing budget failures as a discipline problem, and you overspend because you lack control. You went over the grocery budget because you weren't committed enough. Too many Twinkies. The solution offered is almost always more tracking, more awareness, and more accountability, and more inputs to the same system that already has failed. This framing is not only unhelpful, it's inaccurate. And the research on willpower and self control consistently shows that it is a limited resource that depletes over the course of a day. A person who successfully resists overspending in the morning and makes careful choices at lunch and declines an unnecessary purchase mid afternoon and then says yes to the impulse buy at 7 p.m. is not experiencing a character failure at 7 p.m. They're experiencing a depleted resource that was finite from the start. The evening purchase happens not because they don't care, but because the cognitive resources required to override the impulse has been fully consumed already. A budget that requires willpower to execute at the moment of every spending decision is a system that will fail at the moment of maximum depletion, which are also the moments of maximum temptation. Because difficult days create spending pressures, and difficult days are also the days with the most depleted decision making capacities. The failure isn't you, it's the design. And failure reason number one, the budget is a plan, not a system. There's a critical distinction between a budget that is a financial plan and a budget that is a functional system. Most budgets are planned and very few are systems. A plan tells you what you intend to spend. A system makes the intended outcome happen regardless of your intentions in any given moment. And the difference in whether the desired behavior requires an active decision at every execution point or whether the desired behavior is the default outcome of the structure. Paying yourself first with an automated transfer is a system. It removes the decision from the process. And deciding each payday whether to save is a plan. It requires making the right decision repeatedly under varying conditions of stress, urgency, and competing priorities. Systems win over time because they convert good intentions into structural defaults. Plans require perpetual recommitment to the same decision under increasingly varied conditions. The budget that works are the ones that convert as many spending categories as possible from active decisions into structural defaults. Automatic savings transfers, automatic debt payments, sinking fund contributions, and that leave accounts before they've already been available to spend. The budget becomes a system when the money flows where it should before the human being with depleted decision making capacity at 7 p.m. has a chance to redirect it. Failure reason number two, the categories don't match how money actually moves. Most budget templates that were designed in the era of cash envelopes and monthly bills, they allocate annual expenses into neat monthly boxes and assume money arrives and leaves in regular intervals and that aligns with those boxes. Real financial life doesn't work this way, though. Car insurance often bills semi annually, or professional subscriptions renews annually. Travel is lumped into a few months rather than spread evenly, and clothing eats clusters around seasons and life events. Medical expenses, they arrive unpredictably too. When your monthly budget has $50 for auto and your car insurance bill arrives for $620 in October, the budget doesn't fail because you overspent. It fails because the system didn't account for the actual pattern of the expenses. And the fix is sinking funds, a dedicated savings allocation for irregular and predictable expenses that accumulate monthly and are available when the irregular bill arrives. An auto sinking fund that receives $100 per month is ready for a $600 insurance bill at renewal. A $300 tire replacement and a portion of the eventual major repair that will arrive on its own schedule. The expense doesn't break the budget because the budget was built to accommodate the expense's actual timing rather than pretending it occurs in the equal monthly increments. Create a sinking fund for every expense that is irregular, predictable, and larger than your monthly budget can absorb comfortably. Home maintenance, vehicle maintenance, insurance renewals, medical costs, travel, clothing, holiday spending, pet care. All of these are candidates. The monthly contribution to each shrinking fund is small, and the absence of budget breaking bills is large. Failure reason number three: the budget has no friction for high risk moments. Every budget has high risk moments. The specific trigger, times a day, emotional states, the situation that constantly produces overspending. The budget that treats every spending decision identically fails at these moments because it provides no additional resistance when resistance is most needed. The most common high risk moment is online shopping during low energy hours. The most effective friction intervention for this specific risk is a 24-hour rule for any non-essential purchases over defined household goods or defined threshold. 30, $50, whatever number represents to a meaningful amount relative to your budget, combined with the deliberate removal of save payment information from shopping sites that makes impulse purchases effortless. Adding 4 fields of payment information to every transaction is a small friction, and small friction at the right moment prevents a meaningful percentage of purchases that would have generated regrets and budget overages. And the second high risk moment is emotional spending, the purchase triggered by stress, the boredom, the frustration, or the need for comfort on a difficult day. The fix here is not suppression, which depletes the willpower, but substitution, a specific, pre-decided alternative action for the urge to comfort spend. A walk, a call to a friend, a free activity that provides the same emotional reset. The substitution has to be pre-decided though, because deciding it in the moment of an emotional urgency requires exactly the cognitive capacity that's been depleted. And the third high risk moment is social spending. The purchase made because the social context makes saying no awkward. Dinners with colleagues who order freely. Group experiences that cost more than you'd spend alone. A social occasion where the price of participation exceeds your budget. The fix is a middle category called social budget. That is explicitly allocated for these occasions, separate from food and entertainment, and size at a level that allows genuine participation without the guilt that comes from spending money you didn't plan for. Failure reason number four: the budget provides no physiological layoff or payoff. I mean, a budget that only restricts without also building towards something visible and meaningful will be abandoned. Human beings don't sustain behavior that produces only deprivation. We sustain behavior that produces progress towards a goal we can see and feel. The budget that sticks are the ones attached to a specific, emotionally meaningful goal with visible progress, not save more money, pay off the car by March. So $340 per month because ours permanently, and not spend less or build the emergency fund to 4,000 by summer so a car repair stops being a crisis. The goal gives the restriction a point. The visible progress gives the behavior a reward. Progress tracking matters more than most budgeting. Advice acknowledges seeing the debt balance fall, seeing the savings account grow, and seeing the sinking fund fill. These are behavior reinforcers that make continued compliance more likely. A budget with no visible progress metrics is a restriction with no reward, and restrictions with no reward, they get abandoned when the discomfort and accumulates past the motivation to continue. The budget redesign checklist. Before you try the same budget approach again and expect different results, run through these four questions, okay? First, What percentage of my intended financial behavior is automated versus decided in the moment? If the answer is under 50%, automate more. Second, do my monthly budget categories match the actual timing of my real expense, including irregular ones? If not, create sinking funds for every predictable or regular expense. And third, what are my three high risk spending moments? And what specific friction or substitution is built into the system for each one? If the answer is none, add the friction before the next high risk moment occurs. Four, what specific goal is this budget building towards, and how can I see the progress clearly? If the goal is vague or invisible, define it and make the progress visible before the motivation depletes. The budget that works is not the most detailed one. It's the one designed around how you can actually behave rather than how you think you should behave. Build it for the real you, not the ideal one, and it will perform for the real you every month. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please drop a subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. That will make sure the channel sustains many years to come here. I had to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I'm hoping I hit it soon. So thanks for watching, and we'll check you on the next one.